It's happening now. We are living it today. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This one is about this dystopian future that we are currently living in the UK. Yes, I said dystopian future. Yes, it's not Teotihuacan, it's not post-apocalypse, but it's the times we're living in at the moment, and it's the cost of living crisis, which apparently is not a thing anymore, but it clearly is. Let's have a look at the numbers for people that don't live in the UK and they can get to grips with what's going on at the moment. So currently, the average salary in the UK is just under £35,000 a year. Doesn't sound too bad, to be fair. The take home from that after tax on average is £2,393. So, not a bad wage coming in for somebody on that. However, the minimum wage for the UK is closer to £20,000 a year, which is a take home of just £1,493. Now, most government response to the cost of living crisis and things like that is to increase this minimum wage, or to increase the percentage of wages across the country. However, this doesn't always do the desired effect, because it's not about the actual money coming in most of the time, it's about the money going out. So what does it actually cost to live in the UK? Average house prices around the UK level off at around £288,000 for a family home. This goes from one extreme to the other. Up in the northeast or up in the different regions of Scotland, these are down as low as less than 100,000, and then in London you could be talking millions. The average monthly mortgage works out then at around £700 a month. Now, a lot of people like me are in private rental because it's hard enough to get on the property ladder because you can't save for a deposit because of the cost of living. We are working just to survive, to work for another month. Average rentals is very area dependent. For example, the cheapest area, one of the cheapest areas is the northeast of England, and that's £700 per calendar month on average. London, you could be paying rents of up to £2,200 per month. So you can see the extreme differences depending on where you are in the UK. Now, let's take best case scenario regarding them averages. So let's say you earn the average salary, not the minimum wage, but the average salary of £35,000 a year. That means your take-home pay is £2,393. I can tell you from direct experience of this exact number, that is not the case, especially if your workplace takes off things like medical coverage, pension contributions, things like that. So that's the maximum, but you'll probably end up coming out with less than that. So from that 2,393.31, don't forget the 31 pence, of course, we're going to take £700 away for housing. So that's saying that we live in the cheapest area. We're going to take £177 away in that month for council tax. And again, that's an average based on all the areas. We're going to take off £532 for the average price of energy for a 3-bedroom home. That's gas, electric, whatever you're running, that is your utilities for there. We're going to take off £400 for food. That's not extravagant by no means. That's £100 a week. Now, many families spend a lot more than this. And to spend that much, you are living on the minimum. You are getting the no brand, the cheap stuff. We're going to spend £40 on our water bill. If you're on a meter, that could be a lot more. It could be less. Again, we are just working on averages. £65 for phone/internet connection. Again, that fluctuates depending on companies and who you're with and the speed you need. £15 for your TV license, a ridiculous fee that we all pay and we're all subjected to, which should have been abolished years ago. I'd rather have a few adverts than have to pay a TV license every year. I don't know about you. And lastly, £319, which is the average cost of running a car over a month, including a car payment, insurance, and fuel. Some people's insurance is a lot more. Some people spend more on fuel because of the size of the commute. Some people go electric. And what I'm saving on fuel, trust me, I'm paying on the car payment. After all of them, that leaves £145.31 a month. That is your expendable income. If you were on the minimum wage at 20,000 with the same bills, that would leave you minus £754.69 a month. So a £35,000 salary is just getting by. Don't forget, that's your baseline expenses. This isn't including entertainment, going out, or things that you do inside the house. It's not including events like birthdays and Christmases and Easter. And if you've got kids in school and they've got school meals, the costs add up and up and up. School uniforms. And I know, yes, you'll say there's things like child benefit. Trust me, that does not touch the surface. And if you're on £35,000 a year, most benefits you can't get anyway. You will get child benefit because most people get that as a standard thing, but that doesn't even touch the surface. You could spend that on school uniform easily. So it really is an absolute dire situation living in this country. And it's probably one of the reasons I'd love to emigrate. And I'm not even saying to a certain place. Just get out of Dodge. Most places in the world, you'll spend a third of your salary on bills. Here, I'm spending 80 to 90% of my salary on bills. It doesn't leave any money left for holidays, for leisure, for entertainment, for prepping. Prepping has to be done so frugally when you're on this kind of income that it could take a long time without sacrificing key essentials and key bills. So, what's the solution? The government and the powers that be, no matter which party is in power, don't seem to have one. Happy to increase the minimum wage bracket, happy to increase salaries across the board, but the cost of living increases at a higher rate than the salary ever does. So it's just getting worse and worse. The only people we can rely on, just like preppers do, is ourselves. One solution what I'd recommend, especially if you are not part of a family unit and you've not got two people working in the household, is property share with another working person. It halves all the main bills. Obviously, you're still going to have your own bills, such as your own car and your own phone and things like that, but it halves a lot of them bills, which gives you more expendable income at the end of the day. Just make sure it's either somebody you know and trust and can live with. That is pretty key. And if it's not, make sure you have some sort of sublet agreement in place and you're legally permitted to do so. Of course, there's all sorts of money-saving advice across the internet. There is hundreds of... I'm not even going to pretend to be one of these gurus. There is loads of them out there. You just need to search money-saving and you'll see couponers and everything. Cashback sites, living off strict budgets, shopping for bargains, buying in bulk, things like that. So there's loads of money-saving tips you can have, which is kind of like the penny pinching side of it and clawing back what you can. And another phrase that you'll hear more and more in this country when you're talking with friends or even just people down the pub, if your pub is still open, if it's one of the few that's surviving, is side hustles, is making money on top of your regular job. Now, this could be a second job. It could be a second income, like working for a delivery company in the evenings or working weekends at a bar. You could have a second job, which you're going to get second taxed on, etc. Now, make sure if you do that, you look for them thresholds. Don't earn above the certain point because the tax man will just completely rinse your entire salary, not just what you earned over. There's also home business projects that you can buy into or sign up for, such as Avon, which is like a third party. It's kind of a pyramid type scheme thing. So although they'll never call it that, but you can sell products, get commissions based on the products. You can build up your team. You can get them to sell it and you get a commission from them. hence the whole triangle side of things. But what I've found with these is the amount of hours and time and effort you put in, often it equates to less than what minimum wage would be anyway. Creative craft stuff is also a superb little side hustle, especially if you can get something that you're good at and that is not too time consuming. It's all right spending 6 hours making a bracelet that you can sell for £3, but obviously, what does that work out? An hour, 50p an hour, not a great rate. So, as long as it's something cost effective and you can sell on for that decent profit, one thing to look at is Etsy. That can be your great friend. You can see loads of people selling stuff on there and the kind of things it goes for, whether it's a wine glass with a glitter pattern on, all the way down to carved items out of wood, driftwood furniture, things like that. So specialist craft side business can be very lucrative. Make sure you set your own price points and you value your own time. And lastly, buy and sell. Of course, this is the route I've gone down when it comes to car boot sales. So I started doing car boot sales initially to clear stuff out. You know what it's like when you've got kids, they grow out of toys, they sit there gathering dust, they don't play with them anymore. Usually it'd be a charity shop run. But we've started doing the car boot sales, and because that has provided a nice little helper, it's never going to be a main source of income. It's never going to let me live a rich lifestyle, but an extra £100 every so often, or £60 or £80, depending on the weather and how good the sales are, is a nice little boost, and it does help out on a weekly basis. One of my top tips as well, if you are doing the car boot sale, if you're not going to wholesalers and things like that, pack your stall up early, and for the last hour, go around as a buyer instead of a seller, and make sure you've got room to take stuff home as well, or generally just visit car boot sales when they're starting to close, because there's lots of people there that are there just for a clearance and they don't want to take it home. And I've watched people on stalls opposite me have two giant mirrors that were for above a fireplace, really nice. And they went from £15 at the start of the day and refusing an offer of 10 to about £10 halfway through the day and then refusing an offer of 5. And then by the end of the day, they were shouting, 50p, does anyone want to take this mirror? 50p. They could have had £10 at the start of the day if they'd have been bent a little bit. So bear that in mind. And when it comes towards the end of car boot sales like that, it's not everyone. It's only a very few people, and you're lucky when you find them, but they will clear it for next to nothing. And of course, as preppers, we kind of are in a slightly better situation for this. But what we need to do to combat the cost of living in this country is utilize what we do as preppers. Don't just prep, put it in a cupboard and forget about it. We need to put these things into action now. We are not waiting for some sort of strike, some sort of major event and some sort of cataclysmic solar flare to hit us or the power to all go off to need these preps. We need them now to combat the cost of living. It's strange times we are living in, but we've got stay warm techniques that we've talked about on the channel many times, like the extra layers of blankets, the portable heaters, the really budget friendly, the low power heaters that could run off solar chargers, things like that. Use them now. Help mitigate that ridiculous electricity and gas price. Plan meals, less waste. I've found often we were filling our fridge, and by the end of the week or after 2 weeks, I was throwing half the stuff in the fridge in the bin because we were buying on impulse when we were out shopping, and then it wasn't getting used or it wasn't getting made. So now we plan our meals and we use every bit. And not only does that reduce waste, but it reduces our costs massively. I've also found a really strange thing at the moment is I can get the gas for my camping gas heater, my camping gas hob, cheaper than what it costs to put my electric oven hob on to cook something, because it takes a long time to warm up. I'm watching the smart meter as it ticks over, and then it takes a long time to cool down afterwards. And I can cook something in less time and more efficiently and cheaply with my camping gas stove. So yes, my camping gas stove now lives on top of my oven. So it's still got the extraction and things like that, but it's there because it's just more cost effective to use. So that's a prep I'm using and replenishing and buying new gas on a regular basis because it's going to combat that price. The same could be said for solar power. I know that Frugal Queen in France, who has a YouTube channel, will often charge up her giant solar power banks, whether you've got a Jackery, an EcoFlow, or a Blue Yeti, whatever you've got, charge them up. But then one day they'll do all their washing from them. They'll plug a washing machine and a dryer into the power supply, and they'll do a full wash of it. And it might not seem like much, but they've saved that electricity cost by solar charging them. So just constantly using them preps, you're saving so much money that it will definitely add up at the end of the day. And of course, same with the food preps. If you can buy in bulk and find them bargains, places like Rogers that I've shown, Costco, sometimes you do have to do the maths because it can be more expensive when you work it out per can compared to cheap supermarkets like Lidl or Aldi. So make sure it is worth it. But if you're buying in bulk, it's not only stocking your preps up, but if it's food you eat, you're also getting cheaper meals that way. So constantly cycle through and use your preps, and it'll just put less strain on your budget to have to shop each week and spend a fortune. You know that the food's there. It is the stuff that you're eating, and you're eating it on a regular basis, and you replenish it as you can. So remember, it's not SHTF or Teotihuacan that we're waiting for. Teotihuacan, for anyone who's not a prepper, stands for the end of the world as we know it. It's not a major event like that we're waiting for. Yes, we prepare for it. If it happens, yes, we hope we're in a better situation where we can survive that. And as preppers, that's generally what our focus has been. But it's happening now. We are living it today. Without careful planning, the cost of living crisis will destroy homes, families, lives. And depression, anxiety, and all the mental health issues that come alongside that can have a massive detrimental effect, and people can be in a dark place because of this. Have a think about how you're spending money, how you're using your preps, and let's try and get through these difficult times together. And speaking of cost of living, thank you for the donations that you have given me through the channel via super chats, via just watching the videos and subscribing and liking. That small income I get does help towards the channel. They've increased this price on every bit of software I use. So there's no chance of making a profit anytime soon, but it really does help. So thank you very much for everyone that's helped me so far. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, hit like button, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and the bell notification so you don't miss a video. Leave a comment below, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.